Welcome to Global Investment Voice, your premier podcast for diving deep into the world of investment migration. Are you dreaming of a second or third passport? Then join us as we traverse the globe, exploring the ins and outs of the U.S. EB-5 immigrant investor visa, uncover the secrets of golden visas, and delve into the many residency and citizenship by investment programs. Each episode is packed with exclusive insights from top industry experts. Whether you're an investor, developer, or a visionary entrepreneur, we're here to guide you through the complexities of global investment migration. And who better to navigate this journey with than your hosts, the dynamic legal duo of this industry, Mona Shah and Rebecca Singh. Plus, hear directly from a lineup of global investment migration leaders. So, buckle up and tune in to Global Investment Voice, where your global investment journey begins and expands.
Today on Global Investment Voice, we are crossing 3 countries and 2 continents in under 20 minutes. Today, we have with us Frank Cheang and of Elysium 8 Holdings. The firm describes itself as not as a brokerage, but as a strategic gateway for international investors. We are covering Japan, real estate, which I don't believe we've covered before. And then we are going to go deeper into the Greek and Portuguese golden visa programs, what they actually deliver, where investors are going wrong, and how families are using them to plan for the long term. Frank, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mona. Thank you very much for your invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today.
So, as I just stated, Frank, you describe yourself, and I picked it up from one of your brochures. We're not a brokerage, but a strategic gateway. What does that mean?
Yes, we don't want to be categorized as a broker, as most people are. What we like to do is that we like to offer an overall approach and outcome for investors or families. So that's why we position ourselves as a strategic gateway rather than a broker.
Interesting. And really, what has drawn you to the global mobility space? Because everybody has a story here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it kind of started back in Canada when I was there, when I was networking in the Portuguese community. And that's where it started, and then gradually expanding into the global scene. And then now I'm based in Japan.
Wow,
By the way,
yes.
I'm born Canadian. I just wanted to add that, my background.
Yeah, truly global, Frank. But you know, I was just discussing with Rebecca earlier. We have 250 plus episodes, and I don't believe we've. Thank you. I don't believe we've ever really discussed Japanese real estate. Now, I know we have a whole program dedicated to this later, but just tell us a little bit about this right now. You know, right now, Frank, with the war in the Middle East, I know people are assessing the world a little differently. Is Japan an actual destination for anyone sitting in the US, the UK, or even someone in the Middle East?
Absolutely. I think Japan offers a rare combination. It's a developed, stable market with relatively low entry prices, if we're talking about real estate, and consistent rental demand. First, there's long-term low interest rates in Japan, typically around 1% to 2% for local financing.
Wait. Exactly, are you saying
yes.
1 to 2% for, is that like for a mortgage? No.
Yes, exactly. Let me add to that. 13 years ago.
I'm moving.
Well, let me shock you some more. 13 years ago, when I purchased my personal home, interest rates were under 1%, was basically 0.9%.
Oh my goodness.
So essentially it's free money, basically.
Yes.
And let me add something else that's shocking. I was also shocked when I first received the confirmation of the mortgage on the home. The bank that we dealt with, they approved a 100% LTV mortgage. Now, where have you heard of that before?
I haven't. Oh my goodness.
I'm proof of it. 100% LTV loan.
Yeah, Frank, as I said, we are going to discuss this in detail later. But let me just ask you one last question about this, because I'm seriously thinking of packing my bags and moving to Japan.
Well, you're welcome. I'll meet you at the airport.
What are the market entry realities? Seriously. I mean, is it a difficult market for foreign buyers to come in? You obviously are saying, giving us these low interest rates, but that's
Mhm.
because you live in Japan. If somebody is just emigrating, I mean, is there a complex legal structure? How are the ownership rules? What about language barriers?
Right, of course. Well, those type of interest rates first, they're for residents in Japan, and because I have permanent residency, so that makes a difference. For foreigners, if they qualify for mortgages, loans here, that would go up to probably 3 to 4% interest. But still, it's comparable to
That is still three to
yes.
four percent is still amazing. Wow.
So the important thing for foreign investors to know here in Japan is that foreigners can own property, freehold, and well, there of course it needs to be very structured with the local team in Japan because, like I said, everything is in Japanese. You need a coordinated local network of real estate agents, legal professionals, and property managers.
Yeah, of
So
course. Of
basically,
course.
our role is to bridge that gap and ensure the investor understands what they're buying, how ownership is structured, and how the asset will actually be managed after the acquisition.
Well, all I can say is that Japan makes a compelling case for yield and portfolio diversification for all those who are listening out there. And it's something that it's a country that we will want to come back to. And I'm so surprised that we actually haven't discussed this before. But let's just shift to Europe, Frank, where the conversation really is less about the income return. It's more about something I would say equally valuable for a certain type of investor: residency rights, long term mobility, the ability to move all around Europe. And Elysium 8 really focuses on Portugal and Greece.
Yes, well, let me begin with Portugal. As you may know, Portugal's Golden Visa was introduced back in 2012.
Yep, some time
And
ago.
yeah, some time ago, with a couple of law changes, but the program has attracted over 10,000 main applicants historically.
Wow.
So yes, quite a
So,
large number. Mhm.
so do they have a country cap the way we do have in the US?
Well, the best way I can answer that, Mona, is based on the last two Golden Visa law changes. And that's basically how the government kind of wanted to have a control on the foreign investors coming in and purchasing real estate directly and affecting local property prices. Because the locals, they were unable to afford the properties because of all the inflated prices, just like everywhere else.
Yeah, there was all around by the Algarves. I remember it
Mm,
happening when it first happened, and it was very unpopular with the locals. But
yeah,
the program, I understand, Frank, has brought in more than 6 billion euros into the
that's
country.
correct. Yes, over
Yes.
6 billion. Yes.
It's not likely to go anywhere. I know it's changed, and we'll get into that, but
Mhm.
it's not likely to leave at this point.
No, I don't think so. Although there are legislation is discussing some changes in the current law, because right now, as you know, it's still only 5 years for investors to apply for citizenship in Portugal,
Ah.
which
But
is
what
one of
is
the
the
shortest programs in Europe.
That's right. Most of the European citizenship programs are much longer. But what is the minimum stay requirement for Portugal?
For Portugal, it's an average of 7 days a year per year.
Okay.
So it's
Uh,
kind of like a vacation. You take a vacation somewhere. Well, you have to take it in Portugal, I guess.
and if we jump to Greece for a second, what's the minimum stay in Greece?
Well, in Greece, there is no minimum stay requirement, which is attractive for global investors.
Yes. I see that Greece, although Portugal is popular, I see that Greece
Hmm.
is really catching up in popularity. And how
Yes.
long does it take to get citizenship and a permanent stay in Greece?
In Greece, it's okay. So, first, if I can say, first, Greece, you can directly purchase real estate in Greece to qualify for the Golden Visa. And it's not a direct path to citizenship. However, there's a naturalization process which takes 7 years. You have to wait 2 more years compared to Portugal.
Right. Do you have to
And
have a
then you can
language
apply.
requirement in either country?
For the citizenship in Portugal, yes, that will be required. Like a certain level of Portuguese is required to apply for the citizenship,
Mhm.
and Greece is also required, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
So, where does Elysium 8 come in? Well, I mean, do you source property? Do you help the investor? What do you guys do?
Yes, exactly. We coordinate. Well, if it's the Greece program, then we help source the property, depending on what the investor is interested in. because there's three tiers in Greece if it's real estate.
Right.
The higher prime areas range from 400,000 euros to 800,000 euros. And some of the regional zones still have the low price point entry of 250,000 euros.
Yeah.
But those are the commercial buildings that are converted into residential units.
Yeah, I also saw the last time I was in Greece, I saw a whole bunch of developers creating student apartments, these little boxes.
Yes.
And those all
exactly.
run at the 250. But a lot of our listeners really want to go to Greece and Portugal. They really are looking at purchasing property there, Frank. And there are a number of common investor mistakes. And I think you guys are very good at pulling out these.
Yes, that's right. So the biggest mistake is treating these programs as purely transactional. So,
Really?
for example, investors,
but not the transactional anyway.
Well, yes, true. However, you asked what is our role, right? So basically, we have to also, we're not looking at a one-off purchase with the investor. We're here to provide ongoing support with the family because it's very important for a family to migrate. It's one of the biggest decisions in their lives.
Yeah.
So it's very important for us to be there on the ground to help these families integrate and just provide ongoing support. Because, for example, in Portugal, it's the 5-year period for the golden visa. So there are a lot of things that happen within that 5-year period. So to guide and assist the family for each stage.
What about if we have a person who just wants the experience of being able to go? Maybe they don't want to live there permanently. They want to stay and live in the US, but they just want another escape route. Do you help them with that?
Yes, absolutely. So that would be basically the residency route. So then we have to see what exactly is the objective. And if they're just looking at maybe a real estate investment and would like some yield on it annually, then we would suggest, for example, the Greece program.
Right.
Or if they prefer regulated investment funds, then we could suggest Portugal. It really depends on what they're interested in.
So many people come into this space because it seems initially very easy to come into and, find an investor and, make quick money, so to speak. But there are some important dimensions which you do need experience for, Frank. I'm sure you can speak to this. A lot of people perhaps purchase property in the wrong places. They choose price, probably location based on price rather than long-term utility. They underestimate document preparation times. What else? What other mistakes could you see?
Well, if I can just kind of summarize the different programs or the jurisdictions, like, for example, if I can just touch on Japan just again for a quick moment, is Japan provides like a stable income.
We don't mind Japan. We don't mind you going back to Japan.
So Japan would provide stable income. So, as I mentioned, it's a cash flow play. You would invest in some yield properties. Greece offers accessible residency with flexibility because there is no stay requirement, but it is a 7-year path to citizenship. Portugal still provides a structured path to citizenship. So that is very clear. But unfortunately, it's not directly investing in real estate anymore, but still. So it really depends on what the family is interested in. Is it income? Is it mobility or long-term optionality, across the regions?
What about taxes?
Yes. So each program and jurisdiction has favorable tax benefits. So
like those words. I love the word tax and benefits in the same sentence.
Yes. So for example, in Portugal, there's a 10-year period where foreign investors do not have to pay local taxes. So it depends on the amount of residency that they spend in Portugal. Actually, Mauritius is actually another reason why it is becoming a popular destination because of the favorable tax planning and tax benefits there.
Okay, well, Mauritius is on our agenda as well, but I believe your partner Nick covers Mauritius, right?
Yes, it's best for him to do the next episode on Mauritius. He's much more familiar than I am.
Yeah, that's definitely another one on our agenda. But let me ask you, do either program require relocation, or is somebody who's listening can say, look, I'm really interested, but I don't want to completely relocate. Can I still join these programs?
Absolutely. So the number of days that the investor spends in each country, that will determine their tax status. So, for example, It's usually the 183-day or 6-month period, right? So generally in most countries, if you stay 6 months or more, then you become classified as a resident. So you'll have to pay local taxes. So as long as the investors do not stay more than 6 months or 183 days, then that would be favorable for them. And of course, that is doable.
Two more quick questions. Education access. Do either of these residency program open access to European universities, public education for children?
Yes, absolutely. When you receive your residency card, that allows your children, the investors' children, to access any university in Europe. That allows you to go in the Schengen area. We like to use the word gateway, so it is a gateway to Europe.
So, Frank, gateway it is. But with the pace of change right now, with all that is going on in the world, are you seeing a general shift in global mobility, a speed of people coming in, maybe inquiries?
Yes, absolutely. Sadly, the conflict in the Middle East has created this for us. I mean, in a good way, of course, helping families in need and just trying to provide our services to help the family strategy to satisfy their needs. Investment migration is not an easy decision for any family to make. It requires a lot of decision making and long-term planning. And this is what our role is basically. Elysium 8 is to assist these families in their planning, being patient and to understand what their needs are, and coordinate with the local teams on the ground. We provide the ongoing support with all the families during the golden visa periods.
Well, I think that is so important, Frank, and I'm sure we're going to hear from you again a lot more in the future, because with this change in global mobility and the complexities that we are seeing in the world, Japan, Greece, Portugal, how they all fit together, and Mauritius as part of a complete wealth and mobility strategy is going to be a question that I'm sure is going to come up again and again. Frank,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much, Mona.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Global Investment Voice. A huge thank you to all our listeners for tuning in and sharing this journey with us. Curious about unlocking the potential of global migration and citizenship? Make sure to visit us online at mshalaw.com and globalinvestmentvoice.com. Dive into our extensive library of podcast episodes. Stay ahead with the latest in migration news by signing up for our insider newsletter. Don't forget to connect with us on social media. Find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook to keep the conversation going. Remember, the insights shared in our podcast are for informational purposes only, so please seek tailored legal, financial, or investment advice where needed. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep investing smart and living well with Global Investment Voice. We'll see you on the next episode.